This is your season. We're starting a new series today. What is our series? Meet me at the well. You are worthy of it all, God, which means how is he going to get worthy for your story unless you allow God to do what he needs to do inside of you, right? How many feel like you've been in God's way? Come on. What are y'all doing? You know you're in his way. So what are you doing? Well, I don't know how to get out of his way. I felt that, man. I've literally felt like in my life, this is why for the whole year of 2024, y'all listen to me, we are getting the word, B-I-B-L-E. Y'all memorizing scriptures. I got every person that's connected to me, even online, learning scriptures. Because the Bible says that the enemy roams to and fro, right? He's looking for somebody to devour. What does that devour? That could be a divorce. That could be a sickness. That could be disease. That could be feeling less than because of the mistakes you've made. He just jumps in wherever he can, right? And the worst place to be is getting into isolation and feeling like a dum-dum. Anybody ever feel like a dum-dum? Man, I feel like a dum-dum sometimes. Like, why did, look, y'all, this is the worst. Why did I do that? How many of y'all, just today, why did I do that? I knew better. I wasted all of these years. I wouldn't listen to anybody. I knew better. That know better will stop you from doing better because pride sets in. And then we get into our own strength and we don't let God take the wheel, right? Because where is God? He's this invisible. Where he at? I need somebody to hug me physically, put their arms around me and hug me. And then we open doors to counterfeits. You sleeping around with them, getting their cooties. Got a whole soul tie with about 10 people. Because you need a quick fix. And it's okay, we've all done it. But it's letting go and letting God. You are not the only one that's made some terrible decisions. Every single person in this room has done things that they wish to God they could go back and fix. But what we do is we allow what we need to fix to get the best of us, and then we take ourselves off that couture rack and put ourselves on the clearance rack. And then we let people around us that told us, don't you do that, but we did it. They love to come back in our lives and say, I told you. And it's those people that if you listen to them, God is never gonna send people in your season to elevate you to another level that's gonna tell you, I told you so. They're in the past season. So God's gonna send people in your life that's gonna look at you and say, girl, you got a testimony. You got people that God's gonna bring in your life, but God can't bring those people in your life and God can't open that door that you've been praying about because you won't let go of the people that need to be let go of in order. Preach, Cal! I'm already preaching. But we won't let go of the things that need to be let go of so that God can elevate us in that season, right? Because we got broken in that season. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about this whole month, man. Y'all cannot miss a Sunday because I'm gonna preach this thing silly. And it's gonna be meet me at the well. We're not gonna just talk about one story. We're gonna talk about several where Jesus did miracles. There was always miracles in the Bible, but before the miracle, there was always what? A storm, a problem. It took a problem. And before God ever healed somebody, he first made them do something. This is why you can't lay in your bed eating bonbons and wishing upon a star. In these seasons is when you gotta be activated for what he's bringing into your life, and you gotta be ready for this. Not angry, but using wisdom. So this whole month we're gonna talk about miracles Jesus did in a moment. Now my first question I wanna ask you today, you ready for this? What is stopping your wells? What is stopping your wells? It's almost like when your disposal, anybody ever had a disposable, your trash compactor, garbage disposal? Yeah, thank you. I use mine. You ever had one of those garbage disposals and all of a sudden it just goes, and And you got to have one of those little tools to do this, right? But sometimes that ain't even enough. There's some trials in our lives that literally make our motor go out. And what usually fixes it ain't gonna fix it this time. You're gonna have to call a specialist, right? It worked all those other times, but it's not working this time because it needs a specialist, because you need a whole tune-up. And so in this season, some things cannot be fixed the way you've been fixing them. You can't drag people into that season with you that ain't supposed to be in that season. So what is stopping up your wells? What is stopping up your blessing? What is stopping up your purpose? What is stopping up your marriage from flourishing? What is stopping your business from blowing wide open? What is stopping your family from having peace? What is stopping up your wells? My next question is, are you thirsty? I don't know, Kim. I don't even know what I feel. That's the worst place to be. When you are so used to something, you can't even tell me what you're feeling. Because what ends up happening is the enemy will use your Explore page to be your God. Because you don't even know what needs to be fixed because you've just been in this valley for so long. We look at the children of Israel. The children of Israel took an 11-day trip that turned into how many years? How many years? 11-day trip turned into 40 years. Why? 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 Lack of, why? Come on, talk. Why? Fear. The wrong people around them. Complaining. How many feel like it's easier to complain than talk about the good? The rest of y'all lying. It is so much easier whenever he's telling you off to tell him off. It is so much easier to go to bed and be angry than to say you're sorry because I didn't do it, he did it. Anybody watch Love is Blind? There's a girl that I want to punch. I had to stop watching it. Chelsea, I had to stop watching it. Because Chelsea, you can tell, has been in wrong relationships for so long that she is now bleeding on someone that didn't cut her. Driving these kind of people, you feel every time you're in their presence. But you're like, well, what would Jesus do? Some people ain't your assignment. They're making you thirsty because you're trying to take medicine to people that like to be sick. And so what we do is sometimes we get in life, and I know God lets me watch some of these trash shows. Sometimes I don't want to talk about ministry because I do it 24/7. Sometimes I want to get in my room and I just want the low call here. What are you doing? I'm like watching Love is Blind. He's like, God, why you watch that crap? Because I got sermons out of it. Because it's not toxic enough to mess me up, because I will turn off a show in a heartbeat if I feel like it's violating my blessing. You hear me? I'm not going to be watching Olivia having an affair with the president and being on Olivia's team. No, right is wrong, right is right, wrong is wrong. So you got to watch stuff that's going to help you move forward. It's going to show you stuff in your spirit that you need to fix too. If you are on Olivia's team, I know that was like 20 years ago, but we were talking about it because I still can't believe the church was so for Olivia. She's having a whole affair. And so we got to begin to allow ourselves to be awakened. Are you thirsty? No, I ain't thirsty no more. I can't wait for you to shut up so I can go home and give me some wine. You are thirsty. I can't wait. You've been looking at your phone the whole service trying to see if he called you or texted you. He didn't. You came to church because you thought if you came to church, God would do you a favor and make that boy call you. He ain't gonna call you. He toxic and you toxic. So sometimes what we do is we don't realize that we're thirsty and we keep repeating the same cycles over and over. But self-awareness, say self-awareness, is so important. Why? Because God can't help those who don't think they need help. God can't help those who think they don't need no help. I bet y'all were like this. Is that you? You always blaming everybody else? We're looking at a woman today that literally went to the well, the hottest. We're going to start with this because it's obvious. This woman goes and sits at the well at the hottest part of the day. Why, Kim? Because she was so tired of the judgment that she got from a whole lot of people that probably doing the same thing she was. People love to sweep around your porch. Talk about the skeletons in your closet when they are screaming in theirs. The people that are the loudest judgers are the nastiest people. Y'all listen to me. If you are a harsh judger, you are corrupt. Because when you write and you're free, you ain't got time to talk about nobody else. You are so happy. The last thing that you can do is pull me into your storm because I've been there. I'm not going back there. But this woman, God knew that this woman had an anointing on her life. Why? Let me break this down because y'all know I like to break stuff down. Now, people that were the black sheep of the family, the reason a lot of times they turn into the goat is because they weren't afraid. The worst place to be is to have a Christian that names it and claims it but never walks it. I'm gonna sing every Sunday, Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, but I'm staying at a job, barely making ends meet, mad at God why he ain't blessing me. I'm tithing every Sunday, but you won't move. That devil is such a punk. He will come all up into your thinking. And before you know it, you ain't even praying no more. I am mad at God because he didn't heal my relationship. I fasted and prayed. I lost 50 pounds for him to get saved. That brother was never going to get saved, and you should have never married him if you wanted to be equally yoked. I am so mad at God because during the pandemic, I lost my entire family. A lot of us did. But when you realize that I can't let grief stop me from walking out the legacy of my family, I'm here, I didn't die. Because God knew I'm the rebel. He knew that inside of you, that you are so bold and bad, that you are rebel enough, that you are hood and holy, that you are from the south side of heaven, that you ain't like nobody else. You are not a person that stands in church and says, name it and claim it, believe it and receive it, but never moving. God knew that you were going to hit rock bottom and find out who the rock is at the bottom. God knew this woman at the well was going to go at the hottest part of the day. He helped her make her mind up. He helped her understand and see other people talking about her, so that she would show up at the well at the hottest part of the day, because he said, I have a date with you. And if there's other people there, you would go hide because you don't want nobody to even notice you because of all the things you've done. You sure don't want them to ask you, why are you here? Why are you on this side of the tracks? Because people will do that to you. They will tell you, you can't preach. You're a woman. Timothy, blah, blah, blah. Go sit in your house and be quiet. He will tell you, you've been married before. You can't never be a therapist for relationships. You can't have kids. You had 4 abortions in high school. People, that's who the enemy uses. Your ex, ain't nobody gonna never love you with them kids. I married you. You ain't never gonna find nobody like me again because I married you with 5 different baby daddy. Look, ain't nobody like me. Instead of saying good, you start believing it. Your father that didn't approve of you because you weren't manly enough to work in the gold mines like him. Instead, you're a barber. And so in your head, from a little kid, the enemy's been trying to set you up to shut you up. But the enemy didn't know you were going to come in contact with Limitless. Where this church, we push you. You don't have a choice. My prayer every single weekend is that you get so uncomfortable. Oh, I have a girl here that's in my mastermind. She said, Pastor Kim, when you came over my news feed, I could not stand you. I said, good. She said, you rubbed me wrong. But really what I was doing is I was chiseling. I was sandpaper. I was that person she needed to say, what the heck are you doing? Why are you staying stuck on stupid? It didn't work out because it wasn't supposed to work out, because where God's taken you, they had to fall off. Now I need you to get up, because if you don't get up, you can't fulfill the promise of God on your life. That's how this woman felt. She was at the well. She had no confidence. But the enemy will shame you in the area that God most wants to use you. He shames you. And then the worst part is when he shamed you for a really long time. And then all of a sudden you hit about 40, 50, and stuff starts sagging. Now you ain't got no confidence. Feel like you're too late. And feel like the same words that have been spoken of your life are actually coming true. And now you're scared. Because at least now you ain't got nobody looking at you and judging you, because they already think you're a failure. But what if you get up? What if you go for it? What if you just trust God and just tie a rope and start swinging for your life? What if? What if it works out? What if that book becomes a bestseller? What if it don't? But you still help somebody get off the ledge that was about to kill themselves? What if God wrecked that reputation because he knew that person could not handle your purpose? What if God was like, man, you've been so faithful. I want you to live such, because God did not create you to live a hard life. Instead of praying, Lord, break all that stuff off of me that's competing with you. We won't even pray those prayers. Let me read some scriptures. Let's go to John 4. We're going to go John 4. And we're going to read till I get done. Y'all ready? You ready? Hi? Y'all getting some already? Jesus knew the Pharisees had heard that he was baptizing and making more disciples than John. Though Jesus himself didn't baptize them, his disciples did. So he left Judea and returned to Galilee. He had to go through Samaria on the way. Eventually, he came to the Samaritan village of Sychar, near the field that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there. And Jesus, tired from the long walk, sat wearily beside the well about noontime. Soon, a Samaritan woman came to draw water, and Jesus said to her, please give me a drink. He was alone at the time because his disciples had gone into the village to buy some food. The woman was surprised, for Jews refused to have anything to do with Samaritans. She said to Jesus, you are a Jew and I am a Samaritan woman. Why are you asking me for a drink? So this tells me that God's going to put you in places that you could not even fathom. And then you're going to be questioning, and if you're not careful, you're going to miss the glow up of what God wants to do in the place you never saw yourself being. Please give me a drink. He was alone at the time because his disciples had gone into the village to buy some food. So if he wasn't alone, his disciples would have been there, and they would have been his posse, so they'd been giving him water, and the test wouldn't have been done. So every single strategic thing that God's doing in these scriptures was a setup. Every single thing about your life that you think's minimal is a setup. She said, you are a Jew and I'm a Samaritan woman. Why are you asking me for a drink? Jesus replied, If you only knew the gift God has for you and who you are speaking to, you would ask me and I would give you living water. But sir, you don't have a rope. But Tiffany, you dropped out of school. Nobody's going to listen to you. But you don't have a rope. You don't have water. How are you going to get the water? Where's it at? All of these questions, if God didn't know why he was supposed to be there, he would have literally could have walked off. She says, where you get this living water you talking about? And besides, do you think you're greater than our ancestor Jacob? Do you really think that you got what your brothers got? That's killing this thing that you're trying to do now? Do you really think that you're better than Jacob who gave us this well? How can you offer better water than he and his sons? Who are you? How many of us do that? Question everything. I need all the answers. I am OCD. I need to figure it out. It's not on my dream board. Oh my God, I've got a degree. I still ain't paid all my loans off for my college education. You got a PPD, a FFD. You got more degrees than a thermometer. More degrees than a thermometer, but you ain't got the one thing that's necessary, faith. That's funny, ain't it? I was in special ed. I still don't know where commas go. I learned reading the Bible is the greatest sleep medicine on the planet. Because about the second line in the Bible, you need Ambien. Just read the Bible. And so when I started realizing that the reason I had all these problems was because thieves don't rob empty vaults. We know that. People don't talk about you because you dumb. People don't talk about you because you ain't going nowhere. Life don't hit you left and right, left and right. I wish God don't trust me so much, but he do. Because he knows that you are not going to quit. Well, I ain't got a choice, Kim. I don't have a choice. I can't give up. I've got kids. Then stop talking about giving up. Stop allowing your words to frame your destiny. This woman had gotten so used to the failures of her life that she did not believe that she was worthy. So when Jesus came and sat down and said, I'm about to give you some living water, she started asking him all these. Now, we know she's smarty. We know she had a smart mouth. She didn't have a problem getting men, but she wasn't keeping them. And she put all her faith in these men, and now she didn't want to be alone, but she didn't want to, that paper messes up all the relationships. People don't get divorced until they get married. Because we walk into them with these adjectives. So we're looking for it. In this season, especially this month, you got to be like this woman at the well that daringly decides to listen to this man that walked into her life. You've been sitting under my ministry for 4 years and nothing's changed? What? Even 6 months. You're still dancing with the devil? Well, the devil's just always after me. No, it's your decisions. It's because we think God's on vacation and he's not. He's doing us a favor. Because he has a time frame where when he opens the windows of heaven over your life, it is like literally a whole New Year's Eve party just for you. Anyone who drinks this water will soon become thirsty again, but those who drink the water I give will never be thirsty again. It becomes a fresh, bubbling spring within them, giving them eternal life. He's basically saying, if you only knew what I would do if you let me. On the other side of the let is confidence. your confidence? What is stopping your wells? A lot of stuff doesn't get fixed in our lives because of what we are trying to avoid. I don't want to face this because I've been here for too long. I'm afraid of the unknown. I'm afraid of getting up because I'm so used to the deprivation and pain. There is nothing like having to return to a place we have embarrassed ourselves at. Every time I meet people that are angry, I don't even get mad anymore. Because I remember that I used to be so afraid of living water. Because every Christian that had ever come in my life were hypocrites. They're the only people that will kill their wounded. God is not a spooky God. You ain't got to yell. You ain't got to go Medea. All you got to do is every day of your life, lay hands on yourself and say, God, make me into that person that when I was being born, you were so proud of creating. I give you permission, God, to take the things out of me that need to be exposed. Sometimes God has to expose us to expand us. But we don't want to deal with certain things because it's easier to avoid them because we're embarrassed of the way it made us feel. Y'all, I used to get drunk and I didn't remember what I did. And I wake up the next day. Anybody ever been there? That knot right here. You know you did something wrong. Maybe it's a fight with your spouse. Saying you're sorry would make you look weak. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and he uses you. You are the tool. You are the weapon. Well, how do I know? You know. Y'all cannot tell me you don't know. You know when God is saying, don't you do that, but you do it. Then you get yourself in a pickle because you keep going back to places God delivered you from. And then you get mad when ain't nobody there to save you. They're tired. You won't get up yourself. Why won't you get up? Why won't you look in the mirror and stop beating yourself up? Why are you so sassy? Why is your tongue like a razor? Why now you got these? It's just normal. When you talk, you ain't got to worry about my mouth. It's this face. And you're proud of it. Because somebody has hurt you so bad in your life. Somebody let you down that needed to let you down. Because rejection's God's protection. God did you a favor. But we don't see that. We embarrassed. Because we wasted 15 years, 18 years, 20 years trying to fight for something that we knew we should. But we didn't want our kids to not have a mom and a dad. But instead, you raised them in a home where y'all were yelling and screaming at each other all the time. So now they're repeating cycles. Because we care what everybody else thinks and don't even know your middle name. And now with social media, get your tail on a blog. And you'll start seeing people come out of the woodworks talking about you. And God is saying, in this season, don't you defend yourself. I'm giving you living water in this season. Well, how's he going to do that, Kim? I surrender all. Every time you want to clap back, instead of paying a prophet, you're getting on your knees in the morning. And you're like, God, if you can use anything, use me. God, I surrender. I don't even know what I'm doggone surrendering. But I'm not where I'm supposed to be, so there's something I need to surrender. This is how I fight my battle. See, y'all problem is you got so defeated from God not coming through when you wanted him to come through that now you're wishing upon a star instead of praying to the one that created them. Now you're over here mad at your mom and daddy because they weren't there for you. But they were broken. It was a generational curse, and they kept passing it down to you, and now you're carrying out the curse because you won't forgive. And now you're just laying in your room popping pills, wasting your life, ain't got no teeth. And that's what the enemy will do. The enemy will start taking away your confidence. Before you know it, you're messing up your whole relationship and everything else. Because the last people you trusted broke your heart. But they needed to. Because God never lets anything leave your life that's supposed to be a part of your future. It can't happen. It can't happen. Stop making your kids pay. Y'all got divorced and you hate each other so much more than you love your kids. Trying to prove your point. He says, I will give you living water. He sat at that well with this woman and he sat there and ministered to her. But how did he minister her? He didn't minister to her by sugarcoating. He said, where's your husbands? She said, I ain't got one. Why did he hit there? Because that was the thing making her feel unworthy. Nope, you're right. I ain't got no husband. He said, that's right. You had 5. Well, man, that was savage of him. No. He was letting her know what I'm about to do in your life is deliver you. And when I deliver you, you can never go back to the shame that bound you. Sometimes he's got to expose some things in your life so that once they get exposed, you're not hiding anymore. You don't care what they say about you anymore. Instead, you are so busy pulling everybody you can out of the pits of hell. You were built for this. He says, you ain't got not a near husband, but you got 5 exes. And now you're living with one that ain't even your spouse. Because you've been rejected so much that you're digressing backwards instead of forward. Anytime you're digressing backwards instead of forward, you're not surrendering to God. You're lying to yourself. And God can't heal what you won't reveal. The greatest gift I ever gave myself was laying hands on myself every day. And I would say, God, you're gonna have to do this for the rest of your life. Because life's gonna life. So every season you have to get off some more muck. You gotta go to, take me to the King. I don't have much to bring. My heart is torn in pieces, but here's my offering. Take me to the throne. Ever so often, you're gonna have to shut down for 24 hours. Because God does not keep you in a place for 2 years. You're grieving for 4 years, even a year. It hurts. I lost my daddy. I thought I was gonna die. I sure didn't think I could preach the next day in this platform where he pastored this church. Not only was I grieving my father, but I was also grieving the fact that he told me my whole life women couldn't preach. So I was fighting the labels and the stereotypes. In the pandemic, I had all these staff. Everything shut down. I doubted myself. Then there was people that was coming around me that made me doubt myself more. They were more spiritual than me. They were more this, they were that. They wanted to bring their vision into this church, and I was just wishy-washy. And what God ended up doing was he said, Kimberly, I need you to look at your fruit. You are leading one of the biggest churches online. Our biggest church is online. Our tithe and offerings go online. Millionaires that can barely make ends meet. But during this pandemic, I'm teaching on money and how to get yourself free. And they decided to do it. Now they're walking multi-millionaires in a year. You can sit in this church. You can watch me online. You can watch me every single Monday morning at 8. But until you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you decide to let God give you some living water that will never run dry, you will stay where you are. But in this house, online, we got some people God is raising up for such a time as this. Y'all, I got so tired. This woman, she planned her whole life, said I do so many times, and still wasn't whole. You can have an MTV fridge, have it full of all your favorite drinks, but have no appetite. You can live in a $7 million house to prove that you made it because you're addicted to ambition and have no friends to invite over. You can buy a $10,000 mattress that your side goes up and her side stays down, but have no sleep. At the end of the day, you got to give everything over to God and let him become your living water. It doesn't feel good, does it? Because we want a quick fix. You ever seen those people win all that money on the lottery and blow it in a year? Can you imagine if they would have won it whole? Because my Bible says in the back of the book that we win. We don't have to live under fear. We're not ruled by the same rules of the world. We are children of the Most High God. And when we are doing things B-I-B-L-E way, he blesses us. He comes to restore. He comes to redeem. He said in Joel 2:25, he'll give you back everything the devil stole. And that's even when you were blindly walking through life, trying to break some generational curses and you didn't even know what you were doing. He said, I will restore. And we're walking into 2024 in March. We don't want what we lost. We want back 7 times greater. You hear me, devil? Yeah. Listen to this as I close. God gives you his dignity instead of taking it from you. Listen to this. You can't be so unclean. You cannot be unclean enough to get Jesus dirty. You can't be unclean enough to get Jesus dirty. This whole month, you're gonna feel so much redemption. Your spirit is gonna be so enlightened to understand that I've gotta show it so I can sell it. You ain't gotta force Jesus on nobody whenever you've been healed. An atheist can't tell you God ain't real, but you can brainwash him into believing, oh, I know God is. Because in 2006, when I was laying on my bed, thought my life was over, he met me in my room when nobody else was around. Whenever I was driving DUI almost, cops behind me, and I couldn't see. I was holding my eyes like this because everything was double vision. And that cop came to my window and he said, Kimberly Jones, he knew my name. Get back to your house and don't you ever do this again. You can't tell me God ain't real. Whenever my sons were trying to figure their life out after a divorce, and now they both work in ministry with me here. You can't tell me God ain't real. How the first year of my life, when I would sit in my car and listen to preaching, that first year, God opened the doors for me to preach on every platform. That was my mentor. You can't tell me God ain't real. That just 11 years ago, I was making $13 an hour, and now I live in the tallest building, and I can look all over Atlanta. You can't tell me God ain't real. When I was driving a knockoff Bentley, a 300 Chrysler that kept me on the side of the road every day. Now I drive my dream cars paid off. You can't tell me God ain't real. You don't even give me a paycheck. I give y'all paychecks. You can't tell me God ain't real. You can't tell me God don't think of every single season of your life. You can't tell me God ain't real when haters that knew you back then will bring stuff up that you did in 1983 and say, I'm gonna ruin your ministry, but yet it elevates you instead. You can't tell me God ain't real. That when my daddy was dying and he took his last breath and I laid over him, I said, God, transfer every ounce of anointing that he still got in him that he took to his grave, and I breathed his life into me, and every single thing I touch has the anointing on it that my daddy was standing right. You can't tell me God ain't real when I've written 5 bestsellers. You can't tell me God ain't real when my mother was married to a man that took care of her for 52 years. And when he took his last breath, that little lady went from a caterpillar into a butterfly. Started living her life. Bought her first house downtown by herself. Bought her Mercedes, paid cash. You can't tell me God ain't real. When I'm sitting in a restaurant minding my own business and God brings low into my life, the best thing that's ever loved me. You can't tell me God ain't real. What am I saying? You had to go through it. Because this world tries to kill, steal, and destroy. But God said, Limitless, I've come to bring you everlasting life. Your best days are just beginning. You will not struggle for the rest of your life. You will not be paycheck to paycheck. You are not going to rent for the rest of your life. I prophesy over this house that you will buy your houses, that you will live very well, that you will not just get by paycheck to paycheck, but you're going to be so blessed that you can be the lender and not the borrower. It's so hard to believe that when you won't outgrow your comfortable places. You have the power to walk into rooms and the atmosphere shift because you walked in. So if you are in a fight of your life right now and you don't feel you can get a break, congratulations. Congratulations. Because the devil don't fight anybody this week. So I bind your mind right now too. Some of y'all sitting in your chair mad at me right now. Good. Because I'm not gonna coddle you, but I'm gonna make you so uncomfortable that you begin to break every curse off of you, even the ones that you put on yourself. You will succeed this year. You not only will succeed, but you will do things that you never even dreamed were possible. Your kids will call you blessed. Jesus isn't trying to fix the fake you. You're in this service today on purpose. You're watching online on purpose. You're playing too small. You're playing too small. God ain't gonna give you something that ain't gonna benefit him. So Lord, expose the things that are competing with you and give me boldness to do everything that you've called me to do. Everybody stand up on your feet. Now here's what I need you to do. You're gonna pray over yourself. Because you listen to me. You got the same power that raised Jesus from the dead on the inside of you. When you start realizing, I took one for the team. He didn't mess with your sister because he knew your sister would jump off a bridge. But he knew you got some savageness inside of you. The cancer keeps hitting you. The fear keeps hitting you. You keep thinking you ain't gonna die. You shall live and not die. So in this room right now, I need you to begin to pray. Father, give me the tenacity to move forward. Give me the confidence to do what you've called me to do. And help me get out of my own way. Listen to me. If you've got a petty, feel sorry for yourself spirit on you, right now, I anoint you to be healed. If that is you, lay hands on your heart right now. If you are petty, feel sorry for yourself, a victim, and I was hurt, lay hands on yourself. Say, self, you are couture. Everything happened for my benefit. So Lord, shift the narrative and break off this feeling of unworthiness and break off every word curse that the enemy has sent into my life to keep me stuck. And Lord, if there's any devils in me, get them out. I refuse to dance with the devils. I'm breaking it. What are devils? Your thoughts, your habits, and your fear. So Lord, over this house right now, I prophesy that this week, we're about to see supernatural shift. I want everybody in this church to memorize Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 this week. Memorize it, memorize it, memorize it. We're going to start memorizing scripture in this church a week. It's our ammunition. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will what? What? So when you don't know the way, you just stop for a second, say, I'm back, and move again.